Before this video begins, I would like to give a quick thank you to my Asban Team level patrons Fallon Cortez and Nathan Gibson. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. The start of a new Doctor Who era is always a fun time, full of excitement, speculation and anticipation as we get ready for a whole new series of adventures. However, in a break from modern Doctor Who tradition, we were introduced to the 15th Doctor far in advance of his first series, akin to the 10th Doctor all the way back in 2005. The Church on Ruby Road was the big return of the annual Doctor Who Christmas special, and regardless of the narrative quality, I think it serves as a very optimistic look towards the future of Doctor Who, introducing us to the 15th Doctor and his new companion Ruby Sunday, which is already a winning combination. I've been a bit negative and critical of the second Russell T Davies era recently, so I wanted to balance things out a bit and talk about why I firmly believe that the 15th Doctor is exactly what Doctor Who needs right now. So, without any further ado, let's be positive for a change.
Who are you?
I'm the Doctor.
When returning to the role of Doctor Who showrunner, one of the big issues Russell T Davies clearly wanted to address was all the continuity and narrative baggage of Doctor Who's modern era. Since it has been almost 19 years since the show was brought back in 2005. I already made a whole video about this attempt at breaking from the past, and whilst I'm not a fan of the idea, I do like the way it almost resets the Doctor as a personality. The 60th anniversary special, The Giggle, culminated in a so-called bi-generation, splitting the 14th and 15th Doctors apart so that the former could retire and deal with all of his trauma, while the latter gets to go off on all the big exciting adventures we've become used to. This creates a unique setup where there's a clear epilogue to New Who, and there's the beginning of New Who, Neo Who, Disney Who, or whatever you want to call this new era. On a character level, there's a very clean break between the 14th and 15th Doctors. Even the 9th Doctor didn't get such a fresh start like this because he had the Time War as his traumatic backstory. He was haunted about this past we didn't get to see, and every Doctor since has had some sort of inner turmoil and darkness defining them, making them lonely gods and vengeful dark heroes. But the 15th Doctor hasn't had that kind of darkness or trauma happen to him yet. He has completely freed himself of all of those bad things that his predecessors went through, and yes, there's no doubt he will eventually develop those layers and find himself being hurt, but for now he's able to just enjoy life, and that's the kind of shot in the arm Doctor Who desperately needs right now. He's not trying to be a god or a hero, he's just an idiot in a box passing through, which is the enduring spirit of the character. 15 feels very much like a classic Who Doctor in that sense, a very engaging and enjoyable incarnation without relying too much on melodrama, he's just having a great time. Unlike his predecessors, who were always suppressing their pain and sorrow when they were gallivanting around the universe having fun, the 15th Doctor can actually truly let loose. Just look at Church on Ruby Road, where he's investigating Ruby and clearly gets carried away in the nightclub, dancing in a way you could imagine the 11th Doctor doing. He's on this adventure, but he just gets sidetracked because of the vibes. It's so fresh to see an incarnation so free of pain and able to genuinely enjoy himself. There's no baggage yet, it's a genuinely fresh start, allowing us to see how this character eventually develops over time. It's a true clean slate, and Ncuti Gatwa's enthusiasm for the role really shines through in his portrayal of the character. It's clear that Gatwa is overjoyed to be the Doctor, an icon of British TV and science fiction in general. He's not the youngest actor to play the Doctor, Peter Davison and Matt Smith still hold those distinctions, but Gatwa has a lot of youthful energy that really helps to emphasise this fresh start. How we're seeing everything through the eyes of this new Doctor, experiencing all of these things for the first time. As far as we know, there aren't any returning monsters or villains in Series 14. Of course, there probably are many big returns being hidden from us, but it really does come across as everything being new and exciting, which is just like the personality of the 15th Doctor. Another exciting part of this new Doctor and era is Ruby Sunday, the new companion played by Millie Gibson. I really like what they're doing with Ruby. She's not just a Rose Tyler copy like some people have rather uncharitably claimed. She's a really great blend between the grounded, relatable companions of the first Davies era and the sassy, whimsical companions of the Moffat era. Ruby is the perfect foil for an incarnation like the 15th Doctor. She has the same lightness and bubbly joy he does, but she's also there to serve as the traditional modern companion role as a human contrasting the Doctor's alien tendencies. Even though they've only shared one adventure so far, I already adore this pairing. They bounce off each other so well, and I feel like Ruby is also a breath of fresh air after the companions of the Chibnall era, who really weren't well defined and struggled to feel like genuine people in the way Ruby already does. She has a clear spotlight on her, with a core family dynamic anchoring her to Earth, along with that fascinating mystery of her true parentage. Again, she's like a hybridization of the first Davis era and the Moffat era in that regard, being a perfectly ordinary person representing the audience, whilst also having a big mystery in her backstory akin to Amy Pond and Clara Oswald, giving her immediate depth right from the get-go and giving us a reason to want to see her explore her history. I'm really excited to see where Ruby goes from here, because Davis has already made her such an enjoyable character you outright want to root for. It's something I've always liked about Davis's vision of Doctor Who. He's always been able to write really compelling and realistic companions you love to embrace and follow into the TARDIS. Ruby is very much cut from the same cloth in that regard. Her core beliefs and character traits have already been established in the Church on Ruby Road, and now we'll get to see how those characteristics are built upon and developed over the course of series 14 and 15. She has a huge amount of potential I'm excited about, and also, you know, her theme just slaps. It's better than the 15th Doctor's own theme. I mentioned already that the 15th Doctor and Ruby are a great combination, but I feel like I should emphasise just how fun they are together. Right from their first meeting in the nightclub, there's a crackling platonic energy between them. They have snappy exchanges back and forth, they argue, but most importantly they just enjoy being around each other. Gatwa and Gibson have so much chemistry already, and they come across as genuine friends on and off screen, which does so much for enjoying the characters. Much like with the Doctor himself, all the character drama and deeper layers will come later on, but for now they're just enjoying life, and I can't stress how nice that is to see. It's also clear to see why they're travelling together. A big issue I had with the Chibnall era was how it didn't seem like any of the companions should actually logically want to travel with the 13th Doctor, since it seemed like all the adventures were horrific life or death situations and they never had any fun together to balance things out. They just spent the whole time arguing with each other, especially the Doctor and Yaz, who it seemed actually just hated one another. On the contrary, we can already see 15's love of thrills and adventure, which is matched by Ruby's own adventurous and extroverted personality, so it's easy to understand why she willingly chases after the Doctor and steps into the TARDIS, along with it being easy to understand why he waits for her to do so. Lastly, something I love about the Doctor and Ruby is their shared history as foundlings, allowing them to bond over that lack of knowledge about their real parents. They're very similar in that aspect, both having this idea of a huge adopted family. Ruby has her foster siblings, and the Doctor has his many companions, so they both serve as great examples of the family you're born with not mattering nearly as much as the one you find throughout your life. The Doctor has all that timeless child backstory, but it's not an easy thing to explore through the lens of the character himself. You know, that ship has kind of already sailed. Ruby, however, can serve as a surrogate for that story, her own experience as a foundling acting as this analogue of sorts to explore the Doctor's storyline. You know, it's kind of like you exploring that mysterious like button. Go on, press it. Who knows what might happen? Of course, a lot of the stuff I've mentioned about clean slates is true of other Doctors too. For example, the 10th Doctor was very carefree and happy until he lost Rose at the end of Series 2, with his darker tendencies then manifesting more throughout Series 3, 4 and the specials. But even in the Christmas Invasion, we did see the emotional baggage and trauma manifesting at the end, where he kills the Sycorax leader and deposes Harriet Jones, showing a kind of mean streak lurking beneath the happy-go-lucky exterior. The 15th Doctor hasn't had that kind of darkness yet. The closest we got was when Ruby was erased by the goblins, so we're being given this brilliant chance to see him at his happiest and most carefree before all that darkness starts to be layered back onto him. The Doctor's evolution is always a fantastic thing to watch. We've seen that change in the 10th Doctor, we've seen how the 11th Doctor grew more manipulative and sinister. We watched the 12th Doctor grapple with his demons and overcome them just for his relationship with Clara to drive him into insanity and grief. Even the 13th Doctor lost her smile after the return of the Master and the destruction of Gallifrey. The modern era has always excelled at giving us these character developments for the incarnations, and I really appreciate how much we'll be able to see Ncuti Gatwa's take on the character grow and change over the course of his time as the Doctor. Because, you know, we're still just setting the foundation for his personality. Everything else is gonna be introduced slowly, which is amazing. We're undoubtedly set for a number of compelling performances showcasing the 15th Doctor's range of emotions. We've already seen his more serious side peeking through in his 2 appearances, but as the stakes get even higher and the 15th Doctor goes through his own trials and tribulations, we'll be building the character from the ground up in such a unique and engaging way we haven't really had the chance to do before. I've never been a fan of Doctor Who having shorter series. Maybe that's because I grew up with the original Davis era where we were blessed with 14 episodes a year, so only getting 9 this year feels like a lot less time to spend with a new Doctor and his companion. The recent shorter series have denied us more low stakes, fun vibe episodes like Boomtown, Fear Her, The Lodger, etc. Whilst these episodes aren't necessarily good in the conventional sense, they're invaluable for showing more layers of the Doctor and their relationship with the companion. It's a shame we therefore won't really get that with Series 14, but thanks to the 15th Doctor's extended screen time in The Giggle and Church on Ruby Road, we've already had that chance to get very familiar and explore his character. And since we have that clean slate with this Doctor and companion pairing, I feel like we will still get those fun low stakes vibes mixed into the wider episodes, at the start or the end. The Doctor doesn't need to mope around or have regular arguments with his companions right now, so they can afford to dress up and visit the Beatles and get up to hijinks. We'll be able to immerse ourselves in the adventures of these two friends as they simply have fun across time and space, something the show has desperately needed for a long time now. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Doctor Who's character drama. The 12th Doctor and Clara's relationship is my favourite in the entire show, but it shouldn't be like that all of the time. We need these refreshing, fun-loving pairings to take things back to the basic fundamental core of the show. Like I've stated a few times, the darkness will come, that's inevitable, especially with Russell T Davies' track record of very dark and traumatic storylines. We just get to live through and enjoy the calm before the storm before we get to all of that. Like I mentioned at the beginning, a lot of people have come to believe that I hate the new era of Doctor Who, and that's absolutely not true. It's undeniable that I've been negative about the recent episodes because I do expect maybe too much from Doctor Who, but I absolutely adore the 15th Doctor and Ruby already, even after their singular adventure. They're such a wonderful breath of fresh air, and I think they're exactly what the show needs to truly build itself back up again. There seems to be a significant amount of hype and positivity about the 15th Doctor era, especially compared to the 13th Doctors. People are so excited for Series 14, and I am too. Church on Ruby Road had an impressive 7.49 million viewers, which may be lower than out of context figures from over a decade ago, but when you take into account audience share and chart placement, it absolutely killed it. It charted higher and had a bigger audience share than almost the entire 13th, 12th and 11th Doctors eras, which is a huge sign of progress and a strong indication of the rehabilitation of Doctor Who's image. Hell, when you actually take into account audience share and chart placement, the Church on Ruby Road outperformed almost every previous Christmas special the show has ever put out. Doctor Who is absolutely in a great place with a very optimistic future. It's more relevant than it has been in almost a whole decade, and it's hard not to love the enthusiasm of our new Doctor. The 15th Doctor reflects the show itself having a new lease on life. Like I mentioned before, the darkness, horror, character drama and trauma will all show up in due course, but for now we have the chance to embrace a Doctor Who free from continuity and baggage. Of course, the Chibnall era did try to start with a similar atmosphere, but it was ultimately let down by weak writing and poor characterization of the 13th Doctor. However, the 15th Doctor already has a lot of charm and presence, so it feels like a much more effective fresh start than Series 11 attempted to be. For the first time in a long time, we have a silly old Time Lord in a battered blue box just passing by and helping out without having to outright explain that. So let's all just enjoy the childlike enthusiasm and joy of the 15th Doctor while we can. The show needs it, the audience needs it, and it absolutely won't last forever if the 10th Doctor is anything to go by. So let's make the most of it while it lasts. But anyway, that's enough rambling for me. I just wanted to focus on why I'm genuinely very excited about Doctor Who's future. I hope you liked this video, thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time. Bye bye. And I'd just like to quickly thank my Bantam level patrons, Fallon Cortez and Nathan Gibson, my Diamond level patron, Glenna Clark, my Platinum level patrons, Matthew Burns and Maximilian Foreman, and all my Gold level patrons, Boots, Daniel Shillito, Franzorn aka Lan Vortex, Leigh Marie Farrell, Robert Hock, Spangy Boy, and Tom Azar. Thank you so much for your support.